Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack. Unfortunately, Rick couldn't join us today because of some personal matters. If he so chooses to talk about that in the pre-show next week, he's more than welcome to, but it is not something I'm going to talk about. So no pre-show this week either as a result of it. But this week I'm going to be talking about Angel Beats, which was a recommendation from Goose. Thank you for the recommendation, Goose. Very much appreciated. But before we dive into this week's choice, if you want to help support us, help us grow, you go to patreon.com/featuredanimepodcast. Help support us like that. Of course, all the different ways you can do that are also available in the show notes. And now, on to the meat and potatoes. Now, Angel Beats is produced by Aniplex, Dentsu, Movic, just to name a couple of them. Studio for it is PA Works. It aired from April 2010 through June 2010. The genres for this are drama, fantasy, supernatural, action, comedy, and school. It is an original, so there is no source material for this, and it's 13 episodes long, unless you have the Blu-ray. If you have the Blu-ray, you ended up getting a couple extra tidbits there. Now, Angel Beats is set in a high school like Afterlife where teens who suffered in their lives are given a chance to work through their regrets, traumas, or anything else that they really have going on before they can move on. Otonashi is our main character who wakes up without any memories at all and is pulled into the rebel group called the Afterlife Battlefront, or SSS, which is a student militia led by Yuri that rebels, air quotes, rebels against an unseen god, often clashing with the quiet and formidable student council president, Kanade, also known as Angel. This is a brisk blend of slapstick comedies, raids, and coupled with a couple of concert set pieces by an in-story band called Girls Dead Monsters, followed up with a gut punch drama and purpose, grief, and letting go, just to kind of round it all off. Basically, in a nutshell, this is anime that's aiming to tickle the funny bone and then hit you in the feels with that same bone immediately after. Now, this show is, in so many words, like how I described it for the general overview, it is funny. It has comedic moments in there, but at the exact same time, it's going to hit you with those feels almost right away or immediately after. I personally found myself laughing at a few different scenes in this particularly hard, only to just immediately get hit with the point where, man, this is really depressing. Now, this is also a show that I know that CJ from Anime Anonymous, they have recommended and talked to us about it before, and it is one that I know that CJ truly likes and has enjoyed. I've actually seen this one before. This is a show that I thoroughly enjoyed the first time. It's just I never had the urge to go and rewatch it again. And, you know, honestly, I am glad that I did get to rewatch it, that I did rewatch it, that this was a recommendation. Now, the main characters for this are, like I said, Otonashi, but then you have Kanade as well. Those are kind of really the two pivotal points of this whole show. Like, you have Yuri, and she is a main character, but she is not the focal point. The focal point, honestly, in my opinion, are these two characters. And they're on the opposite sides of the spectrum. One just really is like, hey, you know, you can't be going around doing this tomfoolery, having fun, or doing anything else. You should be reaching enlightenment. You should be reaching that point where, hey, you do get and they call it in the show called obliterated. It is a point where you are finally accepting, or you reach that point where you are satisfied and you can finally move on. You no longer have those regrets at all in your life. Now, in general, when you're starting to learn about the characters and everything else in this show, you learn about the backstories for some of the characters. And in all honesty, they're pretty they're pretty depressing. A majority of them are. If you take our main character, Yuri, one of the main characters, right? Yuri, she's portrayed as this really strong and stubborn character who's very basically like, hey, we have to rebel against the God who gave us this horrible life. And this is our opportunity because we're here and we're basically having to be kids again, or because of all this other stuff, we have to move on. But in actuality, she's carrying this grief of her murdered siblings. And it's just really depressing story because you hear about her story. You not only do you hear it, but you see tidbits of it. You get to see the reenactment of it. And so they do a flashback on it. And so she is upset and looking for a way to be able to just showcase that grief. Basically she wants someone to answer for those crimes in her mind. And then it's the exact same thing. You learn about another character, Hinata, and you learn about his biggest regret and everything else in regards to him. And you learn about some of these characters. So you learn Yuri's, you learn Hinata's, you learn Yui's, who is truly another depressing backstory. I mean, like in general, when you finally learn about these characters and their backstories, even if they're not a main character, they're depressing. And the entirety of the show, the entirety of this is them trying to rebel against God for the unfairness of it, but also at the exact same time, they are, in a matter of speaking, they are looking for that closure, seeking that point that makes them ultimately happy. But at the exact same time, they're not wanting that, right? Because they feel like they shouldn't have to wait to the afterlife to get it. This should have been given to them up front, in my personal opinion, how I personally viewed it. This is definitely more along the lines of a show where it causes some self-reflection and views where you go, what is my biggest regret? What is the point in which I see this and I can't help but go, yes, I could have done that better in my life. I shouldn't dwell on that. I shouldn't let that be a regret. I should just honestly reach my fulfillment and accept whatever happened and move on. Because that's the biggest thing, is this show is about moving on. It's about accepting it. It's about reaching that pinnacle point. And it's honestly sad how some of them have to get there. And when you finally get those moments or you get those points for it, it's that feeling of satisfaction, but also it's sad at the exact same time. Again, going back to Yui, you know, she's basically, she's this little chaos goblin that goes around and she has more energy than you know what to do with, but you don't know why she is so rambunctious, why she's so all over the place, running and jumping and everything else all over the place. And there's even scenes in the show where she's wanting to sing and play the guitar at the exact same time. And they're telling her, it's like, look, you can do one or the other, but you can't do both. And for her, she's like, nope, I want to do both. I'm going to do both. And this is why I'm going to do both. And she's pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And then you find out why. And it's not just the one thing either. It's like, I have these wants, I have these needs. I want to do this. I want to do a suplex. I want to hit a home run. I want to do this. I want to do that. I just want to do all this stuff. And Yui, about halfway through the show, regains his memories and he goes, oh, interesting. Okay, well, let's do this. And the reason why he wants to do this is because he regains his memory and he figured out what ultimately is that key point, that pivotal push that causes someone to quote unquote get obliterated. It basically allows them to move on and accept what has happened and get reincarnated in this. And it really kind of came to head with the band that I mentioned in the general summary. You have the band Girls Dead Monster. It's because honestly, music is a very big and pivotal point for this. It plays a very big role in this. The songs that they play in here, the tones and everything also are a very big moment for this. It's a moment in which that is truly, or not a moment, but it's a a point in the show that basically makes you feel like this was truly written for it. And honestly, it was. Like the music that is here is great. The artwork that is here is really well done. And it's one of those fine balances where it could have really gone one way or the other. And so you have Masami, who was one of the first people that they all knew that was basically a part of the rebel force, like, that was a part of the SSS and the Afterlife Battlefront. And she's, ends up playing a song. She plays a song called My Song. And after she's done, she just disappears and everyone just stares and is like bewildered. It's like she just disappeared. She literally just obliterated. No one knows really why, but what ends up happening like pretty soon after that is you have a point in the story where you have everyone trying to rebel against Angel. And so they get her kicked off the student council, thinking that she wouldn't stop and she would still try to fight them. She's like, I'm not the student council president. I'm no longer going to go out there and do this. I've lost part of my purpose. And she's not an angel. She's just a normal person wanting to be reincarnated at the exact same time, or wanting to be obliterated, I should say, not reincarnated, but obliterated, wanting to move on and wants to reach that pinnacle joy so that she can be happy and have a fulfilled life. And they find out, it's like, well, no, she's a normal person. She just wants to be happy and have fun, have a normal school life. And she doesn't have that. And that's when you have our other student council president come into the picture. He's acting student council president, and he has hypnotism. Well, it's a superpower basically in that world because he finds out a way to be able to do it. But you learn about his life story and his background for it. And now he is just, honestly, he's crazy and just off his rocker completely when it regards to it. But then his biggest thing is acceptance. He wants to be accepted. He has this inferiority complex because of his brother, or not necessarily because of his brother, but it's more so because of his circumstances surrounding him and his brother and the life that he had growing up. And so he ends up using his power to hypnotize Otonashi into remembering what happened to him in his previous life, before he died. And this show doesn't give it to you all up front. You get it in two different episodes. You get half of it at one point, you get the other half later on. And when he finally does remember, he reaches that point to where he wants to help everyone. He wants to help everyone remember. He wants to help everyone reach that happiness and move on. Now, for 13 episodes long, and that's a lot to do because honestly, I've only named a few characters, but they have a lot of other characters in here, and you have a lot of other people where you focus on that you never get the background story of, that you never see the fulfillment of, or anything like that. And there are discussions, or I have seen where this show should have been 25 episodes. It originally was supposed to be 24 episodes, but then it got cut last minute. And I am honestly inclined to believe that is the case, that it was cut short greatly in the last minute, because the last 3 or 4 episodes just feel really, really rushed and progressed along to where you feel kind of cheated. You're also given points or moments in the show where you are told about or explained to about all these other people or all these other things or anything else having to go on. And again, you're not given any real answers. You're not really told about anything. It just kind of is what it is. You have to accept the answer for what it is, which in my opinion is kind of cruddy. It really sucks, because you're given there's all this information that is out there that they could have gone. They allude to it. They talk about it. It's like, hey, don't take a look behind the curtain, but this is totally a thing. We're able to do all this stuff because of dirt. We know how to do this, or make guns and bullets and explosives and all this other stuff with dirt. But how? Like, what's the process of that? You're alluded to it, you're told about it, but that's about it. You're not given anything beyond that. You're not told about anything beyond that. And then there's apparently hundreds of people that are there, and that is their sole purpose. That is the sole thing that they want to do. They want to spend every ounce of their time there just trying to rebel against this one individual who's trying to help them move on. But then they also, at the exact same time, turn it into a, hey, this is a virtual reality. You haven't actually moved on, but you really kind of moved on, but not really moved on type of aspect, which personally I feel is really confusing and a cop out as to what it is. If you're going to be portray it like it's a computer simulation, that is just weird if you want to have it be for the afterlife. I mean, there are theories out there that we are in a simulation. I've heard them. But if you're going to die even in the simulation for what it is, why have it be a simulation about the simulation? Anyways, I digress. The show kind of makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. It makes sense in the sense that this is a point, basically a limbo, where you have the opportunity to reach those moments for the happiness, to work past your regrets so that you can graduate and move on. But at the exact same time, it acts like it's a computer simulation and it doesn't matter what you do or what's going on. And you are given the ability to do some crazy or wild things. And everyone that gets reborn, except for one random dude, gets reborn as a child, or not a child, but a high schooler when they're not. So you have, Yuri and Otonashi and them, they were older. They were actually much older. And in fact, one of the lead guys, he looks a lot older. He's got to be like probably in his 20s, and everyone else probably died when they were in their 20s or much later or at any point in time. And it's not like this was a linear or straight path for people dying either. Like they died at certain points in different time periods. So you had some people die before other people that just happened to show up after these other people. And I'm not going to kind of talk about it. I'm not really going to talk about it or mention who specifically is like that, because it kind of ruins the whole plot towards the end of the story to help round everything out. This is definitely one of those shows where you just, seems a little weird, but okay, whatever. I get it. Time is a construct, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Anyways, would I watch this again? Yes, I would. 100%. I would. But that does not mean that this is not without its flaws, for sure, to say the least. So, I don't have too much more I could really say on that. I feel like I could go into a lot more depth and a lot more information on this, but at the same time, I feel like I'm just going to talk in circles, and I don't really want to talk in circles. So on a scale of up to 10, honestly, I would give it a 7 because of those shortcomings, the feeling of it being rushed, the point in which it's just kind of like, well, we actually could have just moved on ourselves at any point in time with no issue and just like poof, everyone, just move on. Like that was kind of one of the biggest detractors for me. The fact that they played with this is simulation, but not really a simulation. This is afterlife, but not really an afterlife. This is more of a limbo, but anyone can kind of be here and then pick your blah, 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 blah. I did not like that. That's one of the things I feel cheated on. If it was a 24, 25 episode anime, 20, 30, 52, whatever, longer, double the length, I would have been happy. This, unfortunately, was not. It was 13, and it felt rushed and cheated at the end. So that's why I'm going with the 7. Now, as for next week's choice, we're going to be doing See You Tomorrow at the Food Court, as recommended by Major Montana. Thank you for the recommendation. But that's all the time that I have for today. If you feel like I got something right, something wrong, too much justice, not enough justice, or anything like that, feel free to let me know. Go ahead and contact us. All the contact information and everything like that's available on our show notes, as well as on our website at featuredanimepodcast.com. If you want to help support us and grow through other means, though, and you don't want to go to patreon.com/featured anime podcast, where you can spend $1 and get yourself some bonus content and things like that. You can also go to shop.featuredanimepodcast.com. $1 a month will get you access to that bonus content. And then, of course, You can also go to the affiliate links that we have down there for you for Crunchyroll. Get yourself a free trial, get yourself a discount off the store, help support us like that as well. Very much appreciated. And then, of course, let's not forget about Tokyo Treat. Honestly, every single month, box comes in, I get excited and I get to eat some nice, delicious treats every single month. You can too, or give someone a nice gift, especially for Halloween. It's coming up here pretty soon. It's a couple months away. Not even a couple months. Tokyo Treat for the coupon code and affiliate link in the show notes. Get yourself $5 off that very first box and show someone that you really care about them by getting them Tokyo Treats. Until next time, I'm Jack, and we'll see you next time.